It's the Digital Babble with your host, Flipper. Colorful commentary on your photography. Seen on fingerlakes1.com.
Hey everybody! Hey, I got the technical bugs worked out. That's great. Wow, I was having a hard time getting online here for some reason. So it's the Digital Babble here with me, Flipper. We talk about photography, we talk about Photoshop, we talk about your photos, my photos, everybody's photos. So if you want to send in your photos for review, or if you want me to play in Photoshop with them, or whatever the case may be, send an email to thedigitalbabble@gmail.com, or you can go check out our website at tdbny.com, and you can see some of the different stuff there. Some of the old shows, the previous shows are all on there. As well as some writings and some examples, and we're working on getting all that going and keeping it moving forward. So we're looking at getting some extra special guests. I got a couple of photographers from different areas that are of expertise that are talking about coming on as guests in future shows. One is a baby portrait photographer, and another one is a environmental natural or nature portrait photographer. So hopefully in the next few weeks we'll have them on, and they can share some of their techniques in Photoshop as well as in camera to help enhance your photos as listeners of the show. So that's what we do. It's the Digital Babble. I sit here for about an hour behind my computer. I talk about different techniques, things to be aware of, and this week's show is all about pet portraits. And last few weeks we've been talking about senior portraits and getting good people portraits. I thought, well, geez, let's switch it up a little bit, and let's do a whole show dedicated to our furry friends or hairy friends or whatever the case may be. I mean, heck, you could even consider your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife maybe your pet, and you're taking pictures of them. I've seen a few on Duck Dynasty, the big beard, man. I don't know. That's kind of weird stuff. So, speaking of fur, I got enough hair floating around here. Oscar just visited for a second, and the hair's just kind of flying all over the place. So, pet portraits. Really a fun thing to do. All you need is a pet and your camera, a pet and your iPhone, a pet and something, and to take the pictures with. So, oh, there we go. Yep, that's an Oscar hair. Sorry. Hate to do that on camera. But pet portraits can be very rewarding, but they can also be very, very frustrating. And one of the big things about pet portraits that makes it very frustrating is typically most animals don't sit still. And their movements are so jerky or quick. A lot of times if your shutter speed isn't fast enough, you get a blurred head. The rest of the body looks perfect, and they're posing beautifully, and all of a sudden the head's like, and it's gone. All you see is like a couple eyes with like a blurred nose or something of that nature. So that's one thing to always be remembering is pets do tend to move a lot faster than humans do. So their movement is sporadic, jerky. The other thing too is animals tend to be a lot more spooked or can get spooked very quickly or easily. So two big things is that make sure that your animal is comfortable with you and your camera. Also have some toys and treats on hand to try to get them to do what you want them to do, or the type of pose that you want them to do, which is a really a good tip from a pet photographer that works at one of the Petcos. Recently we visited. They were doing pet portraits for the day, and I talked to the person, and she was like, this is very much a labor of love. You have to love this type of photography in order to do it as a job. And a lot of owners, trying to get good pet portraits sometimes will say the same thing, is that you have to love your pet and love photography in order to really try to get some good photos of your animals. And I kind of agree, because I mean, pet portraits can be very simple, or it can be very candid, or it could be very nice and professional, or it can be so many different ways. It could be very artistic if you're really good at getting good angles and good camera shots, and different the compositional pieces like leading lines and color and saturation and texture and all that wonderful stuff. So pet portraits, a few things that we really need to think about is the basis of pet photography is very difficult in the sense of, oh wow, look, I stalled again. Oh, I'm still in the air. Okay, hi. one of the big things with pet portraits and pet photography that we always have to remember is working in a way that is advantageous to the animal. You're not going to yell at the animal. You're not going to sit there and go, "You stupid dog, sit still for the treat." Raw. I remember watching a couple owners trying to get a picture of their animal, and they were yelling at the animal, and the animal's really just responding just in the true opposite way of being yelled at. So the more it was yelled at, the more it was defiant, which then it got yelled at more. So keep that in mind, because really, honestly, yelling at an animal is not going to help you or the animal any bit. It's better to treat them with love and respect, and try to work with them. I've got one of the most skittish cats that I photograph all the time. Let me see if I can find him here. Mr. Hissy. Mr. Hissy. This is Mr. Hissy. You can tell by the scared-eyed look and the angle of attack, because, needless to say, he was not there only long enough for me just to snap that picture, and that was it. He does not like the camera lens. He doesn't like the noise of the camera. He doesn't like the beep of the camera. I've tried taking it with a cell phone. He doesn't like that because he knows that you're taking it. Now, I do have to say, he seems to like my point and shoot. I don't know why he likes the point and shoot, but he does like the point and shoot. He's okay to sit still for that. A lot of problems, though, with the point and shoot is there's not enough available light on the chase lounge here or on the bed or wherever I try to get him. Typically, it doesn't make itself, the light's not enough or abundant enough or directional enough to really make it great. So then you have to use flash. You start using flash, you start getting the demon eyes, and it really looks weird. So I try to avoid flash unless it's off-camera flash, or if it's another light source, like a steady light source. So since we're talking about light and the lack of light in my house, maybe in your house where you're going to do your pet portraits, you're going to be able to have directional light, maybe some window light, maybe some interesting light coming from multiple sources, multi-light. Which is very good. Let me see if I can find the diagram here. Let's try. Oh, that ain't it. Let's try that one. Okay, that's kind of a good diagram. Let's see. What about this one? Nope, that one. So basic portrait or pet portrait really is right here. You're gonna put the pet somewhere in the middle, and then you're going to take a couple lights or find a couple different light sources to act as your quote main lights. So you got your main light, which is next to your camera or up front near you, and then you have your side light or fill light, which is the one over on the right. Having this multi-light scenario typically gives you more light, which means that you can take a faster shutter speed, which means the animal's going to look still. It's not going to be blurred. On top of that, if you use continuous lights, it won't spook the animal, because the continuous lights won't flash or flicker or make high-pitched whines or anything like that. It's already on. It's constantly on. You can use just a couple of regular lamps from Walmart, or even a work lamp with a sock over it, one of those nylon socks. You can makeshift things, take a lamp and put a lampshade over it, and then maybe throw maybe like a skirt around the bottom of the lampshade. That way it really opens up the light source a little bit. So there's lots of things you can do to make the light source bigger and directional. Even from standard bulbs or standard lamp fixtures or even fluorescent, you can actually take a sheet, a very thin sheet, a very sheer sheet of cloth, drape it down in a U, and then tape it to the ceiling, and then kind of bring it up over the light fixture. And what that'll do is it'll kind of take and make a bulb, a very diffused bulb, out of your fluorescent light fixture. And it'll throw light in all different directions, and it'll make it very, very big and very, very soft. So that being said, the same thing can happen with regular light fixtures. You put a big sheet in front of it, you hang a big sheet in front of about 4 or 5 lamps. You can get this huge light source, and then put the pet in the middle of the room and then start shooting. It can produce some amazing results. Directional. You always want to make sure to have some directional light. And the reason why I say some directional light, straight on light typically doesn't work well for animals, because you shoot straight on light, you're not going to get the texture of the fur. You're not going to see the texture of the fur. You're not going to see how they're furry, per se. or if they're hairy, or if they're like the Duck Dynasty guys and they're furry, hairy guys. You know, you're not going to get the texture of the beard or the fur or the animal's whiskers, or you're just going to lose that. So even just getting a little directional. So like saying instead of right here above the camera, you move it just slightly off camera and you fire it from here, the flash, or maybe you have a constant light. Or do what I like to do. I like to use a lot of natural light. So I have this really wonderful window. Let's see here. Let's find Jakey's example. Jakey, where are you? Let's try this one. There we go. This is a wonderful example of a great setup with natural light. And I didn't have to do much of anything other than put a chair next to the window near the table, get Jakey up there and start playing with him, and, you know, hey, how you doing, big guy, and rubbing him and, you know, getting him all furred up. Then I kind of matted his hair down, you know, brushed him a little bit with my hands, and he sat right there, and then he got curious about the camera and then gave me that kind of cocked head look. Snap that picture right there. All the light that's coming from in this frame, the main light source is exactly to the, well, right of him or left of the frame. So it's coming from the left of the picture. It comes in and it has so many different things to bounce off of. So the background it can bounce off of. It can bounce off of things that were on the table. There was a computer screen there. There was a couple other things. So everything acted like a reflector. So it pretty much acted like floodlights. So Jakey was completely lit all the way around, and it really produced a nice effect and a very nice portrait effect. It almost looks like a loop portrait where he's got just a little bit of shadow on the left side of his face or right side of the frame. You know, just a little bit of a loop shadow down around his muzzle there and his mouth and the whiskers, you know, just a little bit of a shadow. The only thing I don't like about this portrait, which has always bugged me, but I haven't ever fixed it because I'm like, it's Jakey, is the fact that there's no twinkle in his eye. There's twinkle in the right eye, or the left one in the frame, but there's none in the other eye. It's very dark. And I think that's the one thing I wish I could fix, and I could probably take and fix it in Photoshop, but I haven't yet. So, but this is one of my favorite portraits of Jakey because the background's nice and blurred. You kind of get a sense of where he's at. He's kind of sitting up at the table with the grown-ups. You know, it's kind of a nice portrait. So back to our diagram here. So basically, if we look at the light source like this, my main light was coming from the, you know, subject's left, or yeah, the subject's right, but the frame left, and there was all the bounce light from that big light source just bouncing all over the room was acting as the second light. Whoops, that was the wrong thing to click. Let's try coming down here. Another thing about pet portraits, which a lot of people, you know, lighting wise and camera wise, is the fact that they tend to shoot from their height. Oh, hi kitty, and then snap it off, and then, you know, they wonder why it doesn't look quite right, or it doesn't feel right, or geez, I wish this was a better shot, you know, blah 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 blah. I can tell you right now, 90% of pet photos that I've seen people take, it's just basically being lazy. Basically staying at your height, not bending over, not getting a different angle, not getting down to their height, or bringing them up to your height. Always remember, it works both ways. You can bring the animal up to your height, or you can get down with the animal. It's up to you. But really, a successful portrait, especially for animals, a lot of times, is that the camera point of view is actually like you're looking at them like a normal person. It makes them in the frame as big or as human-like in the frame as it does in real life, you know. And you know, Jakey's just a little cat with a really long tail, but he's got so much personality. He's such a big personal kitty, you know, and he loves to eat mama's fingers, and he loves to wrestle around with me and curl up on my belly and go to sleep. But he's got so much big personality. You got to capture that. And capturing a shot from above, like here, the red camera, okay, you capture from above. If you don't have light coming from above, You're going to get a really kind of interesting Rembrandt feeling where half the face is really bright, the other half of the face is very dark. It might work. It might be a good portrait for your animal, but having the camera at that height might not be the right perspective depending on what you're going for a look. I personally like to get down to the level of the animal or bring the level of the animal up to me, and then I'm actually shooting at their eye level, kind of like I'm on the same terms as they are. So I'm like a cat with a camera taking their shot instead of a human looking down on my animal and taking a shot. And that's really the difference in perspective and a difference in portrait style. Again, here this diagram here shows us we got a little cat here in the middle. You know, you got a highlight and a high camera point of view. You got a right eye level point of view, which is the black set there, and then a low point of view, which is the blue set. A lot of times, if you get too far below, too far above, a lot of times portraits won't work, or at least the picture won't look right in the sense of it's just a shot. Yeah, it's a shot of my cat running across the awning on such and such, whatever. Okay, it might work as an environmental thing. Hey, look, my cat, but it might not necessarily be something artistically appealing per se. And I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm just trying to say, you know, like some of the big tips of getting these really neat pet portraits is, you know, get on the same level as they are. Get down and roll out around in the ground with them. You know, bring them up to you. Put them on the table. Put them on the chair, like I did with Jakey here. I'll show Jakey's picture again. Here, let's see, because you know I just love Jakey. I was very proud of this portrait. It was such a great portrait. I had fun doing it. The color's off, but it was a good portrait. And it's just really a nice directional light. It's soft. There's not a lot of harsh shadows. And like I said, the biggest thing that I'm really disappointed in is his one eye is dark and it really needs to have a catch light. If we had a catch light in there, it would just lighten that right up and it would put life back into that eye. And I think I would be a lot happier with that portrait. But really, the background's nice and soft. You can see where the light's all coming from. You got some specular highlights. You got some dark areas. You got some empty space. You got some busyness. You can see every grain of hair. You can see every whisker because of the directional light. It really sets it off. It makes it look nice. I think it looks nice. Now, I'm not usually one to say that my photos look nice. I don't know why I'm such a bad critique, but this is actually one that I gotta say. What a wonderful accident. I mean, it was really a good shot. So again, that last shot of Jakey I did at eye level. So I'm in the black area. I'm down to his level. Actually, I brought him up to my level, put the camera level to him, to his eye level, and then started shooting. And that's what I got. It makes it feel like he's sitting at that keyboard as a person, or sitting at that chair as a person, and really being there doing his stuff. So we're going to go on to Oscar here. Here's another one where I got down to their level. He's kind of up at my level, really, but I did have to stoop a little bit. He's sitting on the washer and dryer on clean clothes. What a great portrait this is. I took this with the point and shoot. And I think I took another one in this series with a camera. So you can get really good shots with your camera. It's not like you can't. I think the big thing is that there's a difference in optics. If you're not really concerned with that quality or that need for those optics, then you could probably get away with phones, or you can get away with point and shoots on things. But if you're really looking to go a little step higher, you know, you're going to get into your DSLRs. The biggest thing that you're going to get rid of, phones and point and shoot versus an SLR, is the fact that there's barely any shutter lag. In other words, when you pull the trigger for an SLR, you're taking the picture. Here's a great example of using a point and shoot. He was kind of half asleep. I was petting him. He's sitting on everybody's clothes. Kind of. This is Oscar, our boy Oscar. What a great pose. Again, lots of window light. This is all done with directional window light. There's a window directly over my left shoulder in this picture. It lit up his eyes. It lit up his face. The white's nice and bright. The darks are fairly dark. You can see every whisker. Again, it's because of the directional light, not because that my camera can take that. So pet portraits really have a need to have directional light. So right there, just in those examples of being down on the same level as they are. So Jakey and Oscar here, both being on the same level, putting the camera on the same level, it kind of gives them a human quality of these shots. So, and then waiting for that right pose, waiting for that right look. You got to wait for it. You got to work it. You got to take your time and let the animal work their magic as well, because a lot of times you'll find that the animal will actually almost start talking to you. I know I'm going to sound crazy for a minute, but you know, it's almost like the horse whisperer, but with cats at this point. You know, they'll start talking to you and tell you what they like, what they don't like. You know, you start petting them and, hey, I like this pose. Oh, look at this. This is kind of, oh, look, he snapped a picture. Let me do it again. You know, I've seen so many animals, especially my own, because I mean, I live with them all the time, right? Where they will respond to the stimuli of you taking their photo, just from the pure fact that you're petting them and playing with them and moving them around. Hey, come on, move this way or move that way, or can I move your head this way? Okay, pet, pet, pet. Okay, snap, snap, snap. Okay, but pet portraits are definitely a huge exercise in patience. Huge exercise in patience. Again, just a couple quick tips right off the top, because I mean we're at 7:25ish, I think, so we got a little bit left to go. You want to try to get big, soft directional light. Continuous light works best because you're not spooking the animal, but you can still use flash. I've used flash on many times, but usually you're only going to get a couple shots, and then they're going to be like, I'm out of here. It's the lightning, but no noise. You know, so it's definitely one of those things. Area flooding, flooding the whole area with light somehow, whether it's window light and then bouncing it off something, whether it's enough window light that bounces off of everything. Continuous lights like lamps, if you have multiple lamps, putting them around so that there's a lot of light in the room so that the entire frame is lit well, but the animal is really lit well from directions instead of straight on. You put it straight on, and a lot of times the face fur will come out, but then the fur down in the body won't come out. It'll just look like splotches of color. I've seen that happen, especially with iPhones. I don't know why that happens with iPhones, but I've seen that happen with iPhones a lot. I had somebody hand me their iPhone the other day and said, here, look at this photo. Why is my dog coming out like this? I mean, he's big and fuzzy and flat. He just doesn't look fuzzy. And really the thing was there was no directional light. The light was coming straight at it and bouncing back right back to the camera, and then there was just nothing. It was just all flat. So we talked about that diagram, and this is going to be a series of a couple weeks. I'm going to do pet portraits for a couple weeks, do a little in Photoshop each week, and do a little bit on the pet portraits. So this week we'll do this, and then next week we'll talk about a few other things with pet portraits, like how to pose and lines and composition and stuff like that. But just running through a few other things. Here's the idea of floodlighting and getting down to the animal's level. Notice how the camera's down level to the ground or level to the animal, but yet it's at their level. It's down at their height. So the camera basically now becomes another cat taking a cat portrait. With all the, and trying to have all these different light sources around your animal so that you can get directional light from all different directions. That way the fur comes out nice and tack sharp. You have plenty of light to work with, so you can get enough shutter speed so that if the cat moves around or maybe sees something and looks, maybe you still get the shot instead of a blurred head, or just a big blurred splotch on top of a nice clean body. So a higher shutter speed definitely helps. ISO, cranked up the ISO a little bit, get around 800 or 1600, you can do the same thing with your iPhone and Android or your phones or whatever you take, or your point and shoots. The big thing with shutter lag that you have to remember, and it's a have to. If you know you got shutter lag, the biggest thing you can do to make better portraits of things that are moving, especially pet portraits, especially any of those things where things are moving around, is to learn how long that shutter lag is. So go outside, go to a bridge someplace or a busy street, and you photograph the cars going by. And you try to pan with it, and you go, when you click the button, like on the iPhone, you click the button, so you go, click, 1, 2, okay, now it fired. So you start learning what your count is. So, okay, so click 1, 2 now. Okay, so click 1, 2 now. Now you can think that, okay, this is my shutter with my phone. Okay, I got my shutter leg with my phone. I can sit here and go, okay, get the animal ready. I'll click it, boom, 1, 2, and pull my hand away and click. There's my pet portrait. You can then take into account the shutter lag and not get the goofed up kind of. It's just like taking people, except for they move faster. I know I've watched people take with iPads, with phones. When I do weddings or when I shoot weddings, I've seen it so many times where people will jump in front of me, basically take my shot, which I could care less whether somebody takes my shot, especially with an iPad. But, they go to take the shot and it's like, click, hang on a second. And they have enough time to tell you, hang on a second, before it's actually got the shot and it's ready to go sometimes. Especially the first version iPads and like the first couple versions of the iPhone. The Android phones also the same way. Your personal cell phones, I wish I had one on me, but personal cell phones can actually do the same thing. You get a huge shutter lag where it's like, oh my God, really? You could have gone and gotten a cup of coffee, come back, talk to me in a few minutes. All right, let me take my shot, get out of the way, but that's really truly the gift of anybody that uses a phone for photography is learning your shutter lag. And what do you have to learn? It's all about that timing. How long does it take from the time you click that button? Click 1, 2, I got it. Click 1, 2, 3, I got it. Once you get consistently where you can do that with cars going down the street, you should be able to shoot any regular shot that anybody with an SLR or anything else can shoot just by timing it better. And it really does teach you how to be a better timer, especially phones. Phones definitely make you a better timer. Looking for, the look is coming up. The look is coming up. I got to start now. Click 1, 2. There's the look. Click. Yep, I got it. Yay. All right. So that's really the idea, the thought behind, shutter lag versus not shutter lag. I don't like shutter lag. That's why I really like my point and shoot that I got. And I really, really like my SLRs. And you can find some really good SLRs out there for about the same price as some hefty point and shoots. I mean, I saw, I forget if it was B&H Photo Video. You got the Village Camera Shop up here in Seneca Falls and Waterloo. A lot of these places have some really decent deals on some really nice, Canons. I mean, you can buy like some old model Canons that aren't brand new, or they're brand new in the box, but they're not brand new, like they're going out of style type thing. Excuse me. And you can buy a basic camera and kit lens for probably $400 or $500 and get an SLR, and then learn the basis of photography, and you can do a lot with it. If you don't really want to lug around an SLR, get a decent phone. Get an iPhone 4S or get a iPad 2 or, something that's halfway decent to today's standard that doesn't have much shutter lag, but then go learn what your shutter lag is. So that way when you're taking your photos, you're not getting frustrated because you're missing shots just because there's a shutter lag. Oh, I got to take it. Click. Oh, I missed it. Darn. Click. Oh, I did it again. Go out. Easiest exercise. Go out on a busy street. I mean, not real busy, but go out on a busy street. Click. Okay, there it is. Click. Okay, there it is. Click. 1, 2, 3. Click. Click. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's a 3 count. Okay, so all right, I want to get this shot. Here comes the racer. Click. 1, 2, 3. Pan with it. Ah, I got it. Yeah. Jeff Gordon, the Rainbow Warrior, goes to the green. I mean, don't hate me for that, please. I mean, if you want to, go ahead and email me. It's fine, but I don't really follow NASCAR, so. So I mean, that'll be it for the photography for this week on Pet Portrait. Tune in next week and we'll do a little bit more. We'll get into posing and lines and composition. So over the next couple weeks, we'll do a couple series of this. If you got questions, email me, thedigitalbabble@gmail.com. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. I love doing question and answer times. If you have suggestions for the show or if there's topics that you want me to cover, please email them in. I love your interaction. If you have photos that you want me to use for examples or as Photoshop examples, or maybe you want to see what I would do with them, or if you want me to critique them. So I'm going to give you an example right now of how I critique photos, because we're going to go look at some stuff in Photoshop and we're going to go look at some original photo and see where we get. So let's start right off here. This is going to be Jakey's portrait. Okay, I guess it's not Jakey's portrait. I wonder why it's not Jakey's portrait. How about the other one? 1, 2, 3. There's Jakey's portrait. I wonder what happened to the other one. So here's basically Jakey's portrait that we were talking about a little bit earlier. And again, like I said, right here, the light's coming in this direction, and we have a lot of it. We have a lot of light coming in. I mean, this is a big sliding glass door that I have right here that's covered with a privacy screen. So it really makes the light huge and wrap around all the way around the animal. I mean, you can see that from the back of the head all the way to the front of the nose, there is this wonderful light. And then it also wraps around to the shadow side and still pretty much lights a lot of the shadow side. Then you can see the light bouncing off the background over here and bouncing off the cushion. And there's a computer screen right here that the light's bouncing back at him as well. It's acting as a reflector. So all these different light sources, you can see that I have a lot of different light sources in this photo. Clear the whiteboard. Here's compositionally, here's what we got going on. We've got a perspective line going this way. I can't draw it very well because evidently my mouse skills tonight are not very good. So that's our perspective line, because you can see the chair is here, and then here's the chair in the background. You can see we also have a perspective line this way and this way. Okay, so we have this kind of neat grid perspective line kind of compositional thing working. And then what I really love is the line of the eyes, the pose here, the line of the eyes here, the line of the head. Everything is tilted. So there's his neck one way, back to the shoulders, back to the back to the butt. His leg is bent as well. Everything is in motion. It's just a great portrait. I really love this portrait because I love using this portrait as examples, because it really has a lot of great human element portraits for humans elements, but with a cat. So here's what we're going to do in Photoshop though. I'm going to see if we can correct this little eye thing. We're going to color correct the light because the light is just not warm enough for me. I really think the light is just taking on a weird cast. I really want to get the light fixed. I want to enhance the fur. I want to enhance this fur because I want the colors to pop, but I also want to see each individual hair. I want to show that fur off. I am a fuzzy, rascally buddy because that's what I am. And I think the last but not least thing, I think I might crop this just a touch, and I think I'm going to crop it short, so just above the ear, and then maybe maybe not there, but right about here, and just shrink this up just a little bit, make him fill the frame just a touch more. So let's get to work because we don't have much time. So let's get over to clear the whiteboard. Let's go over to Photoshop, and here we are. Here's Jakey's portrait. I love this segment of the show because I get to play. So the first thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it just to get my feel for it. So I'm going to do an 8x10 crop, which is going to give me a nice 8x10 photo. And I want to include just the end of that other whisker. Notice what happens. I got my rule of thirds here. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but I can see it. I've got this box of marching ants, and then I've got the rule of thirds happening as well. So it's divided like a tic-tac-toe board. And right now, where I have my crop, his dark eye is in a power position. In other words, where the two, the lines intersect would be a power position. So there's a lot of compositional power to that just by doing the rule of thirds. So I'm gonna crop this down. So if you don't believe me, let's put the rule of thirds back up here. So right there, if we were to draw a tic-tac-toe board on here, like so, I don't know if you can see all of them, but if you can, great. If you can't, I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't think you guys can see the grids. I'll have to fix that somehow. So I wonder if I can do it with lines. Let me think. Can I do it quickly with lines? Probably not. So I will show you the rule of thirds some other time a little bit better, but just trust me, where this eye is right on a intersection point of the rule of thirds. It really gives a lot of power. I like the way the lines work, you know, it's really good. So we cropped it. Okay, now let's try to get that color cast out of there. So we're going to do maybe a little bit of curves. So we're going to go down here to our adjustment layer. So it's a little half moon cookie thing looking. You open that up and you go up to curves. It brings up the curves adjustment mask here, or adjustment and mask. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my highlights and go pick the white area here off the chairs in the back. Notice just by doing that, it's already color corrected it fairly well for me. It's gotten rid of the bluish cast. It really looks like Jakey again. He is now orange. He looks good. We can also do our dark, our darker shadow eyedropper to get our shadows. I would definitely try the pupils of the eye, see if that's dark enough. If that's not dark enough, try parts of the chair in the background. You know, until you get the right mix. I think that's pretty good right there. Again, that eye is just definitely dark. I got to really figure out a way to do that. If you still don't have the right color cast, you can always use the mid-tone eyedropper, which is the gray one, and click somewhere where you think it should be 50% gray, like this gray molding back here. Might be. Oh, that went a little purple on me. Let's try this kind of brownish color back here. Is that better? No. Let's try this bluish color. Ooh, that really looks nice. I like that. That's Jakey. He's nice and orange. Beautiful. I love it. So there's Jakey color corrected. Just by doing one layer adjustment called curves, you're going to pick your shadow, which is the dark eyedropper. You're going to pick your highlight, which is the white eyedropper. And then if the color cast is still there and it's not quite right, you click on the gray point eyedropper or the gray eyedropper, and then pick something that should be a neutral color. So like saying this highlight on his eye, or maybe the highlight in the background, or maybe the dark area, or maybe, but if you click on an actual color, it's going to shift the colors a lot. So just be aware of that. Okay, back to our layers. Oh, wow. I wonder if I can't get away with that. Can I get away with that? Maybe we can. Here's a neat trick, okay? And you're going to hate me for doing this. I noticed that I got a blue dot, a blue dot, a blue dot, a blue dot in both eyes. Can you see those with me? Blue dot, blue dot, blue dot, blue dot. And then this highlight is right here. I'm going to try to just take this part of the eye, and I'm going to copy it, rotate it, and put it over the other eye. And then I'm going to mask it out and just bring that highlight back and see if we can't make it look real or fairly real in the sense that it's going to be my highlight. So now I'm going to bring my eye color back just a touch. So let's see if we can't do that. We're going to go grab the polygonal selection tool here, or the lasso tool, and we're going to go whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, I sound like Gundam style. Whoop, 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 whoop. Let's see. So now we got our marching ants around the eye. I'm going to go edit, copy, and I'm going to edit, paste, which will put it now on its own layer by itself. Let me get rid of Jakey in the background. There's his eye. There's Jakey all together. There's his eye. So I'm going to be on the layer one, which is his eye. I'm going to take it. I'm going to move it over to the other eye. I'm going to make it a lot less opaque so I can try to line up this. I got to try to line this highlight up somehow. So I almost want to say right there. That almost looks right. Okay, so we're going to call it that, and we're going to go back to this, and then I'm going to take it, I'm going to mask it, so it's the square, the dark square with the white circle in it down at the bottom of your toolbar just below layers. So we're going to put a mask in there, and then I'm going to paint away, so I'm going to grab a paintbrush, and I'm going to use the black color, and I'm going to paint away a lot of this eye. So as you can see, I'm just going to wipe across it and just do a lot of this eye right offhand real quick. Let up once just so it grabs an undo. Bring back that blue dot there. Okay, don't get in the highlight yet though. Alright, there's our highlight. Almost. I want to get rid of that. Lighten that up just a touch. Probably it's just going to be a nice thin little That still don't look right. Let's keep working on it. Let's keep working on it. We'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get it. I have faith. Okay, bring everything back that I can. Here, so this is his real eye as much as possible, and I'm gonna bring just, I gotta make it more roundish. Almost looks right. Almost. Still think it needs to be rotated. Maybe that's what's wrong. Let me try rotating it. That might be better. Yeah, that might work. All right, give me some white to bring it back. Bring it back as much as possible in that white area. So we're going to zoom in nice and tight and shrink our brush so it's very white where we paint. Round it up like so. And basically painting back just the highlight of that. And then we're going to change the opacity just a touch, just so it kind of blends in nice. Probably right about there. And then what I'm going to do also, which is really kind of interesting, is I'm going to blur the actual mask. So I'm going to go filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and not too much. I don't want 28%. That's going to be nuts. I'm talking probably about 3 or 2. Just enough to soften the edges so that it doesn't look so painted. More looks like light. Oops, too much. Bring it back, bring it back. Great. Too much, more. Right there. Darker, not bad, I guess. It could be better, but it's not bad. I suppose it does lighten up the eye, so without the highlight, with the highlight, without the highlight, with the highlight. I think it needs to be there. I'm just not sure what it needs to be though. Now that I'm thinking about it, but at least it makes it a little bit better. At least in my mind, it makes it a little better. All right, so here we got Jakey. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is click on my top layer, which is my curves, and I'm going to add another adjustment layer because I really want some more color to them. So I'm going to do a hue and saturation. I like hue and saturation over vibrance only because I tend to like to pump up the colors first. Then I'll use vibrance to tune it in because vibrance won't pump up your colors like astronomically. So it's a really good tool for doing minor tweaks. If you're really trying to get some heavier color tweaks, you really got to get into hue and saturation. So we're gonna bring it up. Notice that in 26%, 38%, that's way too much. Whoops, I grabbed the wrong thing here. So let's bring it back down to where it's something manageable. We can go black and white, turn it all grayscale, or we can bring it up to 20, 15-ish, probably 20. So that'll pump up his color. So now, do we need to shift the color at all? Let's try shifting it. We go more red, more green, more red, more green. I think we're not going to shift the color at all. I want them orange. If you want to colorize the whole picture, notice down here in the hue and saturation, we can work on channels up here. So we can go master, red, yellow, green, cyan, blues, and magenta. So you can adjust each color channel independently of everything else. But I'm just going to work on the master at this point. Hue will shift the current hue one direction or the other. If you're working on master, it'll shift all colors one direction or another. If you're just working with the reds, so like saying if we did reds right now, watch what happens to all the reds. So now we're purple. Now we're green, we're back to purple, because I'm shifting just the red colors. Notice the background ain't changing. Just Jakey. Jakey looks like a sick kitty. Alright, so 0, because we're not going to mess around with that. So, alright, so back to master. So we pumped up the colors to plus 20%. I might darken this up just a touch, maybe lighten it up. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe nothing. 0. I'm good with 0. I like it. I like it. So going back to the layers, here's what we've done so far. We took the background layer, we've made an eye highlight, brought it in onto the other eye because we were missing the catch light. That's our first layer here. Next layer, we did a curves, made them a little bit brighter, a little bit more contrast, but also color corrected it because he wasn't really orange. He was more kind of a sicky blue orange. So using the curves adjustment and using the color pickers, the highlights, the midtones, and the shadow pickers, we were able to color correct it very, very quickly. And then in the hue and saturations, I just pumped up the master controls by 20% because I really wanted a little bit more color, because I think in real life Jakey's just a little bit more orange than what my camera took. So those are all the adjustments that I really need to do for this pet portrait at this point. But I am going to show you one other technique real quick since we have just enough time. I'm going to go Control-Alt-Shift-E, and that's going to make a clone stamp of him on his own layer. So no matter what I do down here, it ain't going to affect anything up there. So I'm going to take that top layer and I'm going to go up to Filter, Other, and go to High Pass. And what this does is it basically looks for the contrast between pixels. And at 3.1 pixels for the filter, you get just a little bit. You can see, like, there's his eye, and there's his eye with the filter. So yeah, that sharpens it a bit, but let's pump it up a little bit. Let's get it up to like 5. Now you can even see here the grayscale out here that you're seeing in the preview shows you what's going to be sharpened. Let's really pump it up so you really get to see. That's way over sharpened. Let's try high pass of like 10, 11. Too much. Okay, so 10. Wow, it moves very fast. So there you go. This would be like very, 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 very super sharp. It would probably look weird. So I'm going to do something where it's sharpening what I want, but not everything. So let's try about 5 or 6. Maybe 6. We'll go to 6 because I think we can get away with 6. So there, we got this nice kind of grayscale area where we're looking at Jakey and his fur, and the fur sharpens up a little bit in several areas. And that's the high pass. So now we click OK, and now here's the high pass grayscale. I know, it hasn't sharpened anything yet, Phil. That's because you got to change the blend type from normal to a soft light. Now, you might not see it right this second, but let's see if you can zoom in, or if you got a good YouTube channel thing, open it up so it's full screen, full resolution. Without sharpening, with sharpening. Without sharpening, with sharpening. I'll zoom in so you can see it better. Hang on. So here we're zoomed in really good. Without sharpening, with sharpening. Actually, you should be able to see it now on YouTube. So with sharpening, without sharpening. With sharpening, without sharpening. It could mean a whole lot of difference, and it could also mean very subtle. All right, let's save this and then go review it, then close the show here. So save as, and it's a JPEG, and save. Okay. Do. Lost my mouse. There we go. Okay, it's saved. So we can't do the original because it won't display the original for some reason. And oh, there it is. There's the original. So here you can see, lots of light coming from this way. It's wrapping around the head. You got lots of lines. You got perspective lines here, and you've got perspective lines here. So compositionally. The big thing that I don't like is the color cast. The color cast was wrong. The lighting maybe a little off. The contrast was a little off. And he was really kind of blue instead of orange. So here's the fixed photo here. So here's what we did. We cropped it. So we cropped it a little closer. Made the eye, this eye on the PowerPoint. So there's a PowerPoint rule of thirds right there. We got a lot more orange in the kitty because he is really an orange kitty. We increased the contrast between the lights and the darks, which I did that backwards, I'm sorry. And we added a catch light in his one eye that was way too dark. So let's look at the before again. So there you can see the eye is very dark right here. And this one's lit up nice. And then here's the after. So, yep, that was fixing a pet portrait with a couple little things that were wrong, and doing some color correction, doing some hue and saturation correction, doing some sharpening, and adding a catch light to the eye. So let's go back to me here. I just got to wait for it to catch up. And that's not it. Let's try this one. Hi. So that's it for the Digital Babble this week. It was kind of our first session of pet portraits and fixing pet portraits in Photoshop. I hope you tune in every Wednesday night. I try to be here every Wednesday night. Can't always make it, but most of the time I can. If you ever want to go look at the recorded shows, you can always go to our website, tdbny.com, tdbny.com, which is The Digital Babble. This is The Digital Babble. I'm Flipper, your host. We're on every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. here on FingerLakes1.tv, FingerLakes1.com. Make sure to tell the people at FingerLakes One, hey, you watch The Digital Babble. You either like it, you don't like it. I hope you like it. And I will catch you on the flip side.
A Flipside studio production. It's The Digital Babble. Tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on FingerLakes1.com. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter.